Morning, everybody. Today's story is called Mr. Good. I hope you're sitting nice and quietly and listening because I think you need to be good like Mr. Good. Here he is. Let's find out what he's up to. Mr. Good is very good. He always makes his bed. He always brushes his teeth and he always wipes his feet. He never slams doors and he never forgets birthdays. And he never, ever tells lies. Mr. Good is very, very good. However, Mr. Good lives in a place called Badland, a place where nobody is like Mr. Good, a place where people do slam doors and they slam them in your face. In Badland, the puddles are much deeper than they look. Uh-oh, Mr. Good has disappeared underwater. In Badland, a dog's bite is worse than its bark. In Badland, even the trees are bad. One day, it was wet and windy. Well, of course it was. The weather is also always bad in Badland. Mr. Good was walking along, minding his own business, when the hat of the man in front of him blew off. Mr. Good leapt in the air and caught it for him. The man turned around and he glared at Mr. Good. "What do you think you're doing?" he thundered. "Give me back my hat." That was very rude, don't you think? Poor Mr. Good. This sort of thing was always happening to him. You see, the very idea of doing a good deed in Badland was so preposterous, unthinkable, and mad. If Mr. Good offered to help carry shopping, he was accused of stealing. If he kindly held the door open for someone, then he would be kicked in the shins. Not surprisingly, Mr. Good was not very happy. In fact, he was miserable, so he decided to go on a long walk to think about things. He walked and he walked and he walked for a very long time. He was so deep in thought that he did not notice how far he had gone. And he was so deep in thought that he accidentally walked slap bang into somebody. "Oh, I'm so sorry," stammered Mr. Good nervously. "That's quite all right," said the man, and carried on his way. "Quite all right?" requested Mr. Good to himself. That's quite all right." In the whole of his life, no one had ever said, "That's quite all right," said Mr. Good. Then Mr. Good noticed that the sun was shining, which was strange because the sun never shone in Badland. Farther on, Mr. Good found a trash can on its side. Without thinking, he tidied up all the trash. "Thank you," said a woman. Mr. Good stared at her. In the whole of his life, no one had ever said "thank you" to him. "Could you tell me where I am?" he asked. "You're in Goodland," replied the woman. "Thank you," said Mr. Good. "My pleasure," said the woman, and Mr. Good beamed. Look at that big smile. And I'm sure you have guessed that Mr. Good now lives in Goodland. And Mr. Good is very happy. Very, very happy doing good deeds all day long. The only thing Mr. Good does not trust are the puddles. Look, he's going around this puddle. He doesn't want to step inside in case he disappears. And once you have stepped in a Badland puddle, you never forget.